boys and girls. Happy Friday. I am ready for some good weather. I think the weekend looks nice and sunny and warmer, and so does next week. So something to be excited about. Now I've decided to rip the pages out of my math book rather than flipping back and forth. Why that took me like 9 or 10 lessons to do, oh, no idea. But I think this will make it a lot easier for us to see the work that I'm doing. Okay, so let's get our first name, last name, and the date up here. And it's Friday. Okay, now we are going to be doing a lot of problem solving, and that is going to require us to break down a lot of these problems. As you can see, they want us to write each detail along the way. So again, this can get a little wordy and confusing at times, but we're in it together and we will go step by step. Here we go. Unlock the problem. Cameron has 4 clownfish. Hi, Cameron. You're in our word problem, and I know you're watching the video because you've been watching them every day. Thank you. Good supporter out there. Good subscriber to my channel. All right, so Cameron has 4 clownfish in his fish tank, and 1/3 of the fish in the tank are clownfish. So make sure you write that off to the side. How many fish does Cameron have in his tank? I'm going to squiggly line the question to stay nice and organized. Use the graphic organizer to help you solve the problem. I need to find blank are in Cameron's fish tank. I need to find how many fish, right? Are in Cameron's fish tank. Cameron has 4 clownfish, it told us that. 1/3 of the fish in the tank are clownfish. I will use the information in the problem to draw a diagram, everyone. And I know that because if I read the essential question up here, it says, how can you use the strategy, draw a diagram to help solve fraction problems? Now, the goal of our math book, especially this unit with fractions, is trying to show us all the different ways that you can solve fractions. There's many of them. This lesson is specifically looking at drawing diagrams. All right, here we go. The denominator in 1/3 tells you that there are 3 equal parts in the whole group. All right, so that bottom number, that denominator, is how many equal groups, how many equal parts you have. Draw 3 circles to show 3 equal groups. And since 4 fish are 1/3 of the whole group, then we need to draw 4 counters in that first circle, right? Because 4 are 1/3. We have 3 equal groups of 4. Since there are 4 counters, in the first circle, draw 4 counters in each of the remaining circles, and then find the total number of counters. So a lot of steps here, but let's get drawing. So we have 4 counters in each group, right? There's one group. I stopped there because I know that I have 3 equal parts, 3 groups, 1, 2, 3, and I know that I have 4 fish in each group, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to circle my groups. And I can look at this and say 4 times 3, right, is 12. I could take the total number of counters and divide it by 3, but we know that there are 12 total fish in his tank now, all because we drew that diagram. Okay. All right, try another problem. A pet store has 2 gray rabbits. 1/8 of the rabbits at the pet store are gray. How many rabbits does the pet store have? So what do I need to find? Well, I need to find how many rabbits are at the pet store. All right, that's what I'm looking for. What information do I need to use? Well, they gave us that the pet store has 2 gray rabbits. And they also said 1/8 of the rabbits at the pet store are gray. Okay? And I should have underlined that. Now our question is, how many rabbits does the pet store have? So that's what we're trying to figure out, right up here. And it says, how will I use the information? I will use the information and draw a diagram, because that's what the lesson's about today. All right, now we're gonna solve this problem. So since the denominator in 1/8 is 8, right? We know that there's going to be 8 groups here, right? So I'm just gonna write that off to the side. So I know that there's going to be 8 groups. And I know that in each of those groups, there's going to be 2 rabbits. So let's just get our 8 groups here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, if there's 2 gray rabbits there, we have equal groups, so there needs to be 2 in all of them. Okay, and so when you count them up, you will get 16. Oops, so the pet store has 16 total rabbits. Okay, now there's a few different things. You could easily check, just like yesterday's lesson where we took a number and divided it by how many groups. You could do and figure out the total by multiplication, right? Because here's the information over here. I have 8, my number of groups, 2 in each group. 8 times 2, everyone, is 16. So that's a quick step to figure that out. Now, the lesson today is drawing diagrams, and so we want to do that. But in future, if you want to in your life, if you hear that, then you could relate this to multiplication, just like yesterday we were relating to division. Now, number 1 down here says, how do you know that your answer is reasonable? Basically, how do you know you're right? Well, I'm going to let you word this, but what you could say is, since the whole group is divided into 8 equal parts, right? I can multiply 8 groups of 2 to find that there's 16 rabbits in all. So maybe you could say I can multiply the number of groups by the number in each group. Right? This information we had before even drawing. We knew how many groups there were. We knew how many are in each group, right? And so we just had to draw that out. How did your diagram help you solve the problem? And this is personal. You could say it helps me visualize it better, helps me see it better. I'd rather count than, just multiply and divide right away. I'd rather check. So there's lots of different ways that the diagram might help you. Some of us are really better at visually learning and seeing the numbers. All right, share and show. Lily has 3 dog toys that are red, and 1/4 of all of her dog toys are red. How many dog toys does Lily have? So the first thing we need to draw is 4 circles to show 4 equal parts, right? Because we have 1/4 here. And we know that the bottom number, the denominator, is the number of groups. We also know that there's 3 toys in 1 circle, right? Because Lily has 3 dog toys that are red. So it's giving us a piece of information. So let's draw those 4 groups. And it gave us that 3 dog toys are red. Now, because we're looking at equal groups, that all needs to be the same. Okay. Now, I meant to say, fill this in. 1 circle represents the number of red toys, right? 3. Good. Last, draw blank toys in each of the remaining circles. Find the total number of toys. So we already did that. We drew the 3 toys in each circle. And we can look at this and say 4 times 3 is 12. You could do that nice and quickly. Maybe you want to show your work off to the side. All right, so Lily has 12 dog toys. What if Lily has 4 toys that are red? How many dog toys would she have? Well, we would have to just add a 1 to each of our circles, so that there's 4 in each group now, and we know that 4 times 4 is 16. So she would have 16 dog toys, right? If she adds 1 more to each group, you're adding 4 more in total to the 12. The pet store sells bags of food. There are 4 bags of cat food. 1/6 of the bags of food are cat food. How many bags of pet food does the store have? All right. So there are 4 bags of cat food, and 1/6, I like to write it out so I can see. 1/6 of the bags of food are cat food. Now this is my number of groups, right? It gives us the number 4. 4 bags are cat food, so 4 are going to go in each one. You could count up all the counters, or you could do 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 times how many groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could do 4 times 6, and we know that is 24 bags. Now, you could set this up just like yesterday, right? It gives us 4 and the number 1/6, and the fraction 1/6. And you have 4 and you have 6. 4 in each group, 6 groups. 4 times 6, 24. Rachel owns 2 parakeets. 1/4 of all her birds are parakeets. How many birds does Rachel own? Well, this is the number of groups, everyone, right? So let's draw our 4 circles to show our 4 groups. And we have 2 parakeets. And because they need to be equal, we have to do that for all of them. I have 2 in each group, and I have 4 groups. So I have 8 birds that Rachel owns all together. All right, and again, you have the number 2. You have 1/4. 2 times 4 is 8. All right. Number 5. Before lunchtime, Abigail and Teresa each read some pages from different books. Abigail read 5, or 1/5. I'm going to stop there, okay? Because this is a lot, this problem. So Abigail, she read 5, which is 1/5 of the pages in her books. So here's my notes for Abigail. Okay, if she read 1/5 of her book, and if 1/5 of her book is 5 pages, you're going to have 5 groups of 5, right? So she didn't finish the book. She just read 1/5 of it, which is equivalent to 5 pages. So if I drew out 5 groups of 5 pages, we know that 5 times 5, Abigail read, or Abigail's book has 25 pages in it altogether. She's read 5 of them. Now let's look at the next part. Teresa read 6, or 1/6 of the pages in her book. So here's the information for Teresa. She read 1/6 of her book, which is 6 pages. All right, so if I was to draw, this is our number of groups, 6 groups with 6 in each group. 6 times 6 is 36 pages in her group. Now she's only read 6 of them. So it's asking first, whose book has more? I think Teresa's does, right? So Teresa's book has more. By how many pages though? Well, how many more means we need to subtract. So let's take Teresa's number of pages in her book and subtract Abigail's pages, and that's 11. So Teresa's book has more by 11 pages. Teresa's book has 11 more pages, and that's the work to show it. Okay. Number 6, represent a problem. 6 friends share 5 meat pies. Each friend first eats half of a meat pie. How much more meat pie does each friend need to eat to finish all the meat pies and share them equally? Draw a quick picture to solve. Okay, so we've got 6 friends and they're sharing 5 meat pies. So let's draw those 5 meat pies. Okay, now it says they've each eaten, or they each have half of a meat pie. So this is friend 1, friend 2, friend 3, friend 4, friend 5, friend 6. So that definitely tells us that they each have half of a meat pie. Now, how much more meat pie does each friend need to eat to finish all of the meat pies and share them equally? We have 2 meat pies left, but you can't just choose your friend and say, oh, I want you to have this whole other meat pie, and 3, no, 4 friends are gonna get nothing, right? Because we have 2 meat pies left and 6 people. So if you have 2 meat pies and 6 friends, let's cut this into 3 pieces. Made a peace sign there, right? Friend 1, friend 2, friend 3, friend 4, friend 5, and friend 6. Okay, so they each get a half of a meat pie and 1/3 of that extra one. Okay, so your possible answer is 1/3, right? Look at that. They're each going to get 1/3 of each of these meat pies. You could also say 1/3 or 2/6. Those are equivalent, right? If I multiply that by 2 and that by 2, I would get that fraction. The reason is because you could look and say, okay, each friend, each of those 6 friends, right? These are all eaten. These are all gone now. we've eaten all those. But the 2 left over, we split into 3 pieces each pie. And each friend can get 1/3 of each pie, a third of it. Or you could count up the total number of pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and you could get 2 of each of those. So you could have 1/3 or 2/6. All right, number 7. Braden bought 4 packs of dog treats. He gave 4 treats to his neighbor's dog. Now Brandon has 24 treats left for his dog. How many dog treats were in each pack? Explain how you know. Well, be very careful with this one. How many dogs were in each pack? That means were before he gave them away. So after he gave them away, he had 24. But before that, he had 28. He had 28 altogether, and there was 4 packs. So you could do 28 divided by 4, and you would get 7 treats were in each pack. And that's your work right there. All right, 2 hats are 1/3 of the group. How many hats are in the whole group? Well, remember, they have to be equal. So here's another hat, really bad looking hat. I'll leave it a little front. What is going on with this drawing? Most of you are laughing at me right now. Okay, so how many hats are in the whole group? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we can look at that as 3 groups times 2 in each group. Okay, so that's today's lesson. A lot of showing your work for this lesson and really taking it step by step. As you can see, these word problems, boys and girls, are getting a lot more tricky. They're getting older. You're going into 4th grade soon. So it's so important that you don't miss a math lesson a day, and that you have, you're continuing to practice those multiplication facts, you know, whether you're using the drill math that I send out on Google Classroom. I think almost all of you took home division and multiplication flashcards. You want to start math by doing at least 10 minutes of practicing and converting, because you're seeing how multiplication and division, I've told you this before, it never goes away. Okay, and every kind of math that you do, most types of math, you're going to be using those skills from your past. So continue to practice them. Imagine these lessons and having to use a multiplication chart for all of it, right? It would take a lot longer. So be practicing. A lot of you are going on Prodigy every single day. IXL, awesome job. I can see your results, and I'm very proud of that. So keep working hard and have a wonderful weekend. Miss you all.